Hello, dear ones. Hello, family. You're at home with Jim and with Joy. It's such a privilege to be together as the family of EWTN, the family of God. Obviously, Joy is continuing to recuperate from her successful surgery. She's doing well. Please keep those prayers coming, and we are praying for you and all of your loved ones. What a blessed show we had yesterday with Debbie and David Cowden. If you have questions for them, just email us, jimandjoy@ewtn.com. They're the authors of The Prayer Book for Tired Parents, Practical Ways to Grow in Love of God and Get Your Family to Heaven. Available for pre-order now at ewtnrc.com. Debbie is the Senior Digital Media Specialist at EWTN and also the former producer of At Home with Jim and Joy. Great blessing to have them both. The Cowdens speak about the essence of prayer, the importance of prayer, the centrality of prayer, which is intimacy and union with God. They bring forth in their book practical suggestions. The book is a manual, a guide, a workbook, a journal. The prayers of saints are there, devotions from the church. They've unearthed so many things to have at the fingertips of couples, and especially as they're having children. What a wonderful gift this is for all grandparents to give to their children and the children that they're going to be having. If I were a priest, this would be a great gift to give at the time of baptism, maybe of the first child, of a couple, that every couple would have at their fingertips the prayer book for tired parents, practical ways to grow in love of God and get your family to heaven. The teachings of the church, the prayers of the church, practical guidance, lifting up the power and the potential of prayer to transform lives and to help get your spouse, to help get your children to heaven. So we're going to be expounding upon this more fully today. It's so wonderful to be with you. You're at home with Jim and with Joy. We'll be right back. Welcome back. David and Debbie Cowden are back with us, authors of The Prayer Book for Tired Parents, Practical Ways to Grow in Love of God and Get Your Family to Heaven. Available now, this Advent Christmas seasons, ewtnrc.com. It would be a perfect gift for couples you know with a child or two or three, and they'd have everything they need to engage in the warfare upon marriage and the family at this juncture in history, and they will find God mighty to save. So Cowdens, it's great to have you back with us, and it's wonderful to be with you. And for those that may not have seen the first show, just like in a nutshell, please tell us about the book, why this book, and what's in it, what people will find.
Well, the Prayer Book for Tired Parents is a guide for parents who want to live out their faith more fully, but maybe need a little bit of help with the direction. How am I going to raise my kids to be holy in this day and age? So whether you have newborn children or your children are in elementary school, even beyond, there's something in here for every parent when it comes to reorienting your life toward God, joyfully living your faith as a family, and accomplishing that ultimate goal of getting your family to heaven.
I like what you're saying about reorienting your life. I pray to God that if there's somebody out there and maybe they're a little bit frustrated with their own lives or with their marriage or how they're rearing their children, reorient yourself. You know, put Christ at the center of this, the church at the center of this, the power and grace of prayer as a couple and as a family together, and you'll be amazed at what Almighty God can do. One of the aspects of your book, is a pretty big aspect of it, is that you really elaborate upon, you say befriend the saints. I think that's beautifully said, that the saints, you know, sometimes we hear about the saints, maybe even went to Catholic school, you hear about them, but are they really your friends? Do you understand they're not dead, that they're alive? And maybe you don't have many friends. None of us really have that many friends, maybe one or two, but you got a multitude of friends in the saints. So speak about that, why that special emphasis, how do you use them, their prayers, particular emphasis that they may have?
Well, we believe as members of the body of Christ that we are all connected. And so we know that the saints are alive in heaven. We also know that many of them lived very difficult lives, and many of them are experiencing the same struggles that we are experiencing as parents. St. Gianna Molla was a mother with 3 children and a 4th on the way, and she was a working mom. She was a physician. St. Joseph was raising the child Jesus. He must have been tired at some point if you consider he had to travel all the way to Egypt. He's trying to defend the mother of God and the son of God from an evil king who's trying to kill him. St. Thomas More had many children. Elizabeth Ann Seton, Francis of Rome, Saints Louis and Zélie. We have all of these beautiful examples of saints in our church who were parents. Yeah. And then many more who lived heroic lives that we can learn from. And so what we wanted to do with this book was we wanted to remind people that they can rely on the prayers of the saints if only they ask. So there's an entire section of the book with over 30 reflections on the lives of these saints. All of them are related to different aspects of parenting. And then prayers to go with them that will help them in their journey as parents.
And that's beautifully done. You know,
Thank
I
you.
enjoyed going through the saints, and like you said, there's a nice introduction. I guess you guys have written those, and then there's a prayer, and the prayers are just really powerful and beautiful. And I asked you before the show, who wrote the prayers? Because I thought maybe, you know, it was a saint that had written the prayer, but you know, you guys wrote the prayers, and they're so meaningful. And nothing's really long, but then you have a little passing prayer. And those are really great too. So if you can't pray the whole prayer, you do a passing prayer, or is that how that goes? Mm-hmm. And so it's great. So you have those introductions, people can get to know the saints if they don't know them.
And we try to come up with some lighthearted and also really meaningful reflections on the saints too in unusual ways. So for example, one that I really like is a reflection on Saint Therese and the prayer for the parent during a child's tantrum.
Yeah,
and it's hard to believe that when your kid is having a full-blown meltdown that they could be a saint. But the reality is, if you look at the life of Saint Therese, Saint Zélie, her mother, says that Saint Therese had quite a temper and had even written some letters to her husband, Saint Louis, saying this poor 3-year-old Therese is just throwing herself on the floor in a fit of rage as if the whole world were ending. If that little 3-year-old Therese could become a great saint and doctor of the church, how could we not expect the same for our children if in that moment we can disciple them and we can love on them and use that moment as a chance to grow in holiness? And one other one that I really like is the prayer to St. Isidore the Farmer and a prayer in thanksgiving for groceries, because we're living in some really uncertain, anxiety-inducing times right now, and there are times where people are wondering how they're going to be able to pay the grocery bill.
There was one, I'm not even sure who the saint is, but it was for mental illness.
St. Dymphna.
And I thought, that's so wonderful. How many people suffer with mental illness in our families? And like, I've never, just the heading alone was like, this is really hopeful. And tantrum. Who's thinking about a tantrum? But you know, for those there where it applies, get the book.
And I, you know, one of the things about the saints, we try to be very careful about who we are picking so that through the lens of parenthood, each of these saints ideally touches on a different aspect. Like, you know, you have St. Martin de Porres, who's, you know, we go to him for intercession when we're struggling with the day-to-day tasks, sometimes that we feel that are menial, right? And you know, by his example, we can sanctify those tasks, right? And so, you know, our goal with the reflections, even though they're short, we wanted to give some level of food for thought, like a kind of assisting a parent to develop that contemplative life, right? But then also, you know, as they're, you know, going through those day-to-day tasks, they've got that quick prayer, right? That they can, because that's when they need the saint the most, right? When you have the meltdowns are happening, right? Or you're struggling to get through the day with keeping the house up, that's when you need to go to prayer. And sometimes it's so hard to think about it unless, okay, we've got that prayer, like that passing prayer, right? We actually, even at the end of the book, have a, like an appendix section. We have the, you know, the reflections and then the prayers, but then we reprinted the prayers at the end of the book with literal cutout sections, because our whole goal was that we want people to think about these, going to prayer for these moments, and like pasting the prayer by the coffee pot, or pasting it at like a litany of humility, right,
Yes.
in the bathroom mirror, when we need it the most, right? So.
And so we don't want it to be a book that you just put on the shelf and forget about it. We want you to have the book on hand so that you can say, I am having a really hard day right now, or like first thing in the morning, I am having a hard time, and like I can't get through the day unless I have my pot of coffee. Well, we have a reflection on Fulton Sheen and a prayer and thanksgiving for coffee. And without spoiling it, the whole point of that prayer is that we think that we can do
Yeah.
nothing without coffee, but
Yeah.
really we can do nothing without God. So God, I am using this time that I'm preparing and drinking my coffee, and I'm offering it for love of you and in thanksgiving for all that you have done in my life. Or there's even, as a little bit of lighthearted humor, St. Lawrence and the prayer when everything is going up in flames.
I know, I've been
Because
thinking about that the
He
whole
had
time.
humor, a little bit of humor at the moment of his death, and we ask for the ability to have a little bit of humor in the moment when things just seem to be going up in flames around us.
That's great.
We really had a lot of fun writing some
Yeah,
of the
I could tell.
prayers, and it was also it's a reflection of what has been on our hearts as parents too. And I hope that when parents are praying these prayers, that they're remembering that not only do they have the saints praying for them in heaven, but we are praying for these parents too, because we know that we can do nothing without God, and we can do nothing without each other as members of the body of Christ.
It's fun. Speaking about incorporating humor as well. Debbie is so good about knowing Mother Angelica's spirituality. With you can't help but absorb it when you're here in this place, right? Working at the network, it's a great, beautiful, beautiful place, and so we really wanted to incorporate a lot of Mother's wisdom through the book as well. Perhaps represent it in a way to parents that maybe have never watched the old classics, right? Those classics never get old, by the way. So they are just, there's such nuggets of wisdom. And so Debbie, she can pull out a quote for Mother, just easily, because she spends so much time going back and watching and pulling clips for her job, right? So, you'll find in the book there's sections where, even the journal pages, we have a Mother Angelica quote at the end of each page, just to be able to kind of like that reorient it. Just kind of, Mother just helps to bring us back to center, just central focus on Jesus.
Yeah. Those isms by Mother are so important. I had a bishop that would speak, pithy sayings. God's work done in God's way will never lack God's supply. Mm-hmm. I always hear that. And so Mother was like that, right? I mean, it's like day-to-day guidance with having Mother with you. Any particular favorites for you that just help you along in the day?
Holiness is not for wimps. Holiness is not for wimps, and the cross is not negotiable, sweetheart. It is a requirement. And then she talks about how saints are ordinary people who lived their lives with extraordinary holiness. There's a famous, we are all called to be great saints. Don't miss the opportunity. But a lot of times we don't realize that the opportunity is right there in front of us. That little act of faithfulness, that little act of love, being completely exhausted and just wanting to sleep for 5 more minutes, and then your kids come running in, plopping on your bed and wanting cuddles. Or, needing the grace to change that one more diaper, or to get through the next 60 seconds of your day. And some parents don't like talking about how hard it is, but we've learned to embrace it because we realize that we're not alone. And there are some days that are really, really challenging.
Yeah.
There are days that just break us.
Right.
There are days where we don't know how we're going to get through the day. And what do you do in those moments? If we didn't have our faith, surely we would despair. But the whole mission of the prayer book for tired parents is to remind parents that they're not alone.
Yeah.
And that God is good.
Yeah.
And the vocation that He gave you is good. And marriage and family life are good. And that we can become holy through our vocation. There's so much goodness. We could talk all day about this.
But what you're sharing is just so critical, and the value of sacrifice and the cross and suffering. Because, people on the extreme end of it, we run a crisis pregnancy center. We've had women speaking to us that they want to terminate their child, abort their child, because they're having morning sickness, and they're actually saying, I want this pain to go. They think maybe we're an abortion center, and they speak these things. Or people will get married, like dinks, double income, no children. Dinks, double income, no children. Maybe even think about sterilizing themselves right after they get married, because they don't want pain. Nobody wants pain, but I mean, like you said about why the title, Tired Parents. Like when I first saw it, I'm saying like, well, that's obvious. Or are you complaining about? Are you complaining about it? Are you moaning because you're tired? But then you have you both have a page on why I'm not ashamed to say tired parents or we're tired. And one of them is because it's worth it. You will be tired, and there is sacrifice, and it's a way of God's bringing you, conforming you to His image. Because those who give their lives away find their lives, and if you don't want to give your life away, you're not going to find your life. So it's not only okay to be tired; it's a calling to be tired, giving yourself away, kind of, right?
Amen.
Absolutely. And you know, I think Jim, you had told us that God is always going to bless you, you know, fourfold. You know, he can't be outdone in generosity, right? And so for the parents that were open to life and they had these children, you know, God bless you for that, right? Because it's hard, it's difficult, but God He wants to reward you for that effort that you made, that openness to life that you displayed in having that child. So He wants you to have that peaceful home, and He wants you to really relish in your vocation in that way. You know, it's
a new lens, because God has always been there, but are we recognizing Him? And are we realizing the way that He's blessing us in these really hard moments? In all of the joys of parenting, yes, but also the sorrows of parenting, and the fact that we are giving every ounce of ourselves for our children, and that we're making sacrifices, I think they end up being good sacrifices in the long run, but that God is purifying us and sanctifying us through our vocation. We thought that we knew how to pray when we were single, and then when we were married. I think we were barely scratching the surface with what it means to surrender to God, to trust Him that He is going to bring about your good, and that even in the most difficult moments, He's there and He's going to help you. And I think that's the encouragement that tired parents need, that when you're feeling completely helpless, when you feel like you have just poured your whole self out, first of all, there is more that you can give, but also that it is good. When you empty yourself out, you're able to fill yourself back up with God. And it's really put just a new lens on our vocation, or how we recognize our vocation. And it's really helped us to enjoy parenthood a lot more, because we realize that it is good. And we're doing the right thing for ourselves and for our kids, and to give God His due.
It's beautifully said.
You know, in your line of work, working at the pregnancy center, right? You get to see some of those women that have chosen life, and you see the look on their faces when they hold that baby, probably maybe their first child, and they're changed, right? In so many ways, they recognize that God is there and present with them when they see that baby, right? And so we want the parents to be able to, like, just be able to carry that through when they're tired, when they're frustrated, you know, as that child ages, they're really learning to pour themselves out continually for that child, and to continue to grow in love for that child, right? It's amazing how we, as human beings, sometimes we aren't willing to make changes in our own life, like in our spiritual life, growing in faith and holiness, right? Until we recognize that we can do it for another, right? So we see that child, and that oftentimes it will change people. It will say, you know, they'll step back and say, you know, Catholicism, my faith was never really important to me, but I will do it for this child, because I want them to be holy and I want them to go to heaven, right?
Yes. Beautiful. And you've got everything in this book, it seems, in the area of prayer to help them along. Because sometimes it's like, I really want to do something, but I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to start. Maybe I'm afraid to pray, or I don't have a prayer partner, and you can befriend the saints. But so everything's there for you to be a success in this. And really, it doesn't take much to be a success, because God will bless you infinitely every time you come, as long as you're attempting to come and trying to come. It's not a legalistic kind of thing.
And He doesn't expect perfection. He expects the desire, and He expects us to do little steps at a time to keep moving in the right direction. Thank God that He does not expect perfection.
We're going to hold you over for the final segment, and we're going to share more. And maybe you could speak a little bit about how we can support couples with their first child and what can be done as individuals, the church, and so on. So we'll be right back. Hope you're enjoying this blessed conversation, and pray that the domestic church of Jesus Christ would be blessed and set on fire in this age and in this time. Don't go away. Welcome back. We're speaking with the Cowdens about their prayer book for tired parents. Go to ewtnrc.com. Perfect gift for this time of year, Advent, Christmas. Give it to a couple with a child or two that you know. Let's share a little bit about how we can support couples, young parents of children. What can we do personally, or grandparents, or the church, the parish? How can we support people like you?
Well, I think on a larger scale, we're not asking for churches to come up with new initiatives or outreaches to be welcoming to families. There are already a lot of those that exist. But if there are just a couple of things that I could nail down that parishes could do to show families that they're welcome, first of all, it would be to buy a bunch of copies of this book and then give it to your parishioners. But what you said earlier about giving a copy to parents when they present their child for baptism,
Absolutely.
That's setting them up for success. That's telling them right from the get-go, we want you to be here, and we want you to do well as a parent, and that we are invested in your future as a parent and your child's holiness. I think, go ahead.
I think also just that, even in Mass itself, right? Parents need to hear, God willing, from the pulpit, that it's okay that your kids can be a little bit noisy. It's good that you're here, right? There's so many parishes that, in this time, kind of after post-COVID, parents are having a really hard time getting their kids back to Mass, right? And they're having to retrain their kids to learn to sit still in Mass, and dealing with the rambunctiousness and all that. And parents, it's stressful. It's anxiety-inducing. And just the simple things, just to hear from people around them. It's good that you're here. We love our parish priest. He's so good. Every time that he, will be going down for communion, and he blesses every child with the biggest grin on his face. And the child sees that, right? The child just from the youngest age, our 2-year-old will just give him the biggest grin back, and they know that it's good that we're here. Right?
Well, just a short statement from each of you, just about the importance of the domestic church, how this book can relate to that, because we hear as the family goes, so goes the church, and so goes the world. And things aren't going so well with the family, and it's not God's definition or way of the family, it's just the culture at the time in which we live.
We've benefited greatly from developing what we have as the cloister of the home. So really protecting our children, surrounding them with prayer. It doesn't mean that it's silent all the time, but it means that this is where they are learning the faith. This is where we are showing them the love of the Father, where we're cultivating virtue. This is a place where they're going to learn what is good, true, and beautiful. And children need that stronghold nowadays, especially when there is no truth. And, you can be or do anything that you want with no repercussions. That's not the way God works, and that's not how we were designed. And so we want our children to know what the truth is and to be able to live it, to appreciate silence, and to listen for God's voice.
Closing word, David?
It's so blessed to be a parent, to be a tired parent. We can offer up so much, and we have the opportunity to obtain so many graces from this vocation. So we want to encourage and empower parents to do that.
Well, thanks to the both of you. You're a beautiful couple, wonderful family, and you're just not keeping it to yourself. You want to multiply the greatness within the domestic church and equip them for this age and for this time. The prayer book for tired parents, go to EWTNRC.com. All together, we will build a new culture of life and marriage and the family, and Christ will prevail. Keep it on EWTN. Bye now.